A nuclear weapons control treaty between the US and Russia will come to an end this week. Initially signed 16 years ago, the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty was designed to prevent a nuclear war. But the treaty's expiry will mark an end to the arms control cooperation between the two countries, which is raising fears of the possibility of a new arms race. Courtney Stewart is the Deputy Director of the Defence Strategy Program at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, and she is with me now. A very good morning to you, Courtney. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good to be here, Kath.
Can you firstly explain what this treaty has achieved over the last 16 years, what its contribution will have been?
Well, the treaty was an agreement that was based on President Obama's nuclear security agenda. And he had seen a vision of a world with reduced nuclear weapons and that would reduce the threat of exponential growth of nuclear weapons across the world. And so the treaty was a significant effort by the United States and the Russian Federation to reduce the threat globally of nuclear weapons. And by doing that, they're able to reduce the numbers quite significantly down to 1,550 deployed strategic nuclear weapons and deployed strategic launchers as well. But what happens with the loss of this treaty now is that we've completely lost this guardrail. So both countries now are able to exponentially grow their arsenals and their deployed launchers as much as they'd like without any guardrails.
OK, so the treaty has come to an end. What are the expectations that a new treaty will be signed? I know the Pope has weighed in on this. He's calling for the treaty to be signed because the world is a very different place to what it was 16 years ago. I imagine the discussion around what would be involved in that treaty would be very different.
I think it would be wonderful to have another treaty. I just don't think that the logic today stands between the United States and Russia. And that logic is about strategic stability and strategic stability through predictability. And with the behavior of the Russian Federation in Ukraine, the behavior of China increasing its own nuclear weapons arsenal, that the premium set on that kind of strategic stability is not there. There's too much distrust, and the countries can't prove to be trustful amongst each other. So just very little opportunity for a future treaty. They could try a very small extension. But even right now, the last 3 years, the Russian Federation has effectively suspended the treaty as it's continued to increase and continue to not allow for the transparency obligation measures.
There's been some commentary in recent days from Russia's foreign ministry saying in a statement that in the current circumstances, we assume that the parties to the New START are no longer bound by any obligations or symmetrical declarations in the context of the treaty. Meantime, you had a few months ago President Trump being quoted as saying, if it expires, we'll just do a better agreement.
I don't see that the sort of logic will hold today. Neither side trusts each other. I think they're just putting words out there that they're not going to lead to anything.
You mentioned China in your last comment there. If a treaty is struck, how important would it be that China is involved as well as Europe and France, and particularly France?
I don't think you have to worry about France. France is very transparent with the amount of deployed nuclear weapons it has, the same with the United Kingdom. China has never been able to publicly declare how many nuclear weapons it has. It has one of the most opaque nuclear weapons arsenals in the entire world. That would be highly unlikely. The distrust right now between the United States, China, and Russia doesn't bode well for these sorts of arrangements, despite the world wanting them. I think until you get other issues addressed, like the conflict in Ukraine, the trust just simply is not there, allowing for these sort of confidence-building measures that the world so desperately needs.
Yeah, Courtney, you mentioned the conflict in Ukraine there. We saw Russia suspending the treaty 3 years ago as tensions grew over the Ukraine war, and it seemed that both countries, the US and Russia, continued to abide by the treaty. Does that give you some confidence?
I think the United States attempted to continue to abide by the treaty, but that they were seeking ways to get Russia back on the table to abide by the obligations of the treaty, which it stopped doing. So again, I don't see the behavior of Russia opening any sort of door or potential window for a continuation of this treaty. They're not even, in the last 3 years, they haven't even been abiding by the treaty.
Okay. So if not renewed, if nothing fills the void and stands in this place, what world does it paint?
A really dangerous one. This is a huge loss for non-proliferation and for global security. It would take other countries, other middle powers like Australia, other countries that rely on nuclear weapons through extended deterrence, nuclear deterrence, to potentially put pressure on these countries. But again, US allies can only do so much. They need to start to pressure Russia and China to do more and to be more transparent. It's really only through transparency and some obligation to limit their deployed strategic nuclear weapons that we're not going to see spiraling uncontrolled nuclear weapons development, which right now, after the 5th of February, they can do.
You're painting somewhat of a pessimistic future there, but a realistic one, it sounds like. Courtney Stewart, many thanks for your time.
Thank you, Kath.
Courtney Stewart there, Deputy Director of Defence Strategy Program, ASPI there.